Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmidty, Swanny and Clarky visit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. All right. Hello and welcome back.
Hello.
Hi.
How are we?
It's good to be back.
How's your week been, everybody?
Oh, it's just been... Well, we had an earthquake. That was exciting.
I know.
We did have an earthquake. My God, the walls rocked.
Yeah, the whole bungalow shook. I stood up and had to hold the booze cabinet.
Where were you when it was happening? I mean, I guess you're at home, so you were in lockdown, but was it in the shower or in bed or...
Right here where I'm sitting right
working
now.
away?
Yep, I was on the phone to IT and I thought the dog was scratching or something and, creating a shake. And then I thought, no, that's a bit more than that. And then I jumped up because I've got this hutch next to me which has got all this glassware and all this booze on it. And I did what you're not supposed to do in an earthquake.
Tried to hold it
and
up.
I held the hutch. Yeah, I was like holding that to stop everything falling off. And I had my phone wedged into my shoulder because I was talking to a guy from IT and he's going, what's happening? What's happening? I was like, it's fine. It's just a tremor. It's okay. We're going to be okay.
I'm protecting the
And then it
booze.
passed. I was protecting the booze. That was my most important thing. And I'm looking around thinking, what else can happen? And a large Toblerone fell off the fridge. And when Tony rang me and I said, oh, Toblerone fell off the fridge. Don't worry, I've already called the insurance company. It's going to be fine.
Fell off the fridge and into your mouth.
No, just onto the floor. I couldn't catch that at the same time as I was holding all the booze up.
That's quite funny. Whenever there's a big storm, forecast and it comes through and it's never what it's supposed to be. And you always see the meme where it's the white plastic outdoor setting furniture and one chair's fallen over. It's sort of similar situation.
Yeah, we had that.
Except now the Toblerone's fallen off the top of the fridge.
Well, I saw the exact same meme, which was, Victoria, we will rebuild. And it's the plastic lawn furniture. Yeah. Well, look, it made a nice change from listening to our numbers in COVID going up and up and up and everyone being all doom and gloom. So I suppose it was something else to happen.
Yes, and you had
in
some
terms of the end
too.
of
You had a
days.
busy week.
Exactly. In terms of all the end of days activity, we've got the mice plague in New South Wales, we've got an earthquake, we had the fires last year, we've got a pandemic, and we've got rioters in the streets. It's awesome.
Goodness me, you don't want the frogs falling from the sky. Did you guys
Wouldn't
watch
surprise me.
the grand final that Perth was able to host because you were not allowed to do it in Victoria?
No, I didn't because I have no interest in football.
I have no interest in football either, but I live in Perth, so I don't have a choice because everyone here, they're footy mad. They're crazy for it over here too.
They are, yes. I watched it till half time and then realised I just didn't have a passion for either side, so I went to bed.
Not even that boy with the long mullet? Bailey Smith, is it?
Especially that boy with the long mullet.
That is insane. I mean, my nephew, who is he's 19, we were at their house once and he's into AFL, so he was watching a match and I was saying something about this guy's hair. He goes, oh no, all the young people love him. And I went, what, with that hair? He's like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with my hair. And it's one of those things where you just don't realise it's come full circle and having a mullet is like this crowning glory. And he has more followers on Instagram than 17 of the 18 AFL football clubs.
Clubs.
Wow.
And I think it's because of that mullet. I'm out of touch.
Yeah, happily out of touch.
Oh, well, look, I wasn't a fan of all the Ned Kelly beards. I hate a mullet.
Hipster beards,
Basically, all the things you just described is part of the reason I've no interest in football. Because it seems to be a platform for Ned Kelly beards and stupid mullets.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm glad.
I have a feeling we may have lost Clarky. Can you hear us, Clarky?
I'm just thinking. I'm glad that you've turned off to football because you're not happy with the fashion side of it. I think you've nailed what it's all about.
Well, I've never understood what it's all about, so you're probably right, because it's just not my cup of tea. Now, if they were getting on the ground every week and doing a really good musical, I'd be all for it. But it's just not my art form. You know, if they were getting and doing a little song and dance and some jazz hands, I'd be all over it.
Funny.
Now, Paul,
Yes.
what are you drinking today?
Well, we're having a lovely Oak Ridge over-the-shoulder Chardonnay, a bit like over-the-shoulder boulder holder from the story we were talking about last week from Beaches. But, yeah, it's quite nice. It's from the Yarra Valley. I'm a fan of an oaked and really buttery Chardonnay. This one isn't super buttery, but it's quite nice. So, yeah, happy to enjoy it with you all. And what are you having?
Well, I've started today with a little bit of pirate juice, or bogan juice, depending on how you see it. A little bit of Captain Morgan's spiced rum in a Diet Coke. Har, me Buccaneers!
Deirdre Chambers, what a coincidence, because look what I have. Bit of a visual gag, unfortunately, but this week, this arrived at my front door. It is a bottle of your finest Grunters. It says Grunters Original. I'm not sure there were other variants, but Grunters Original Wipeout Coconut Liqueur. So
Delicious.
a delivery man came to our front door, pressed the buzzer, and my husband and I walked out, and he was standing there with just the bottle, and we all just paused. He was uncomfortable. We were uncomfortable. No one knew what to do. And then I went, realised what it was. So darling Schmidty has sent me back 30 years to first year uni, 1991, and gifted me a bottle of Grunters Wipeout, which is said to be served best with cola, pineapple, or milk. I would have liked to have it over ice, but today I'm going to crack open a can of Diet Coke and have a Diet Coke and Grunters. So let's see how it goes.
Yum, yum, yum. I know, I've had a Malibu before, so I'm pretty comfortable I don't have to try the Grunters either.
Yeah, I think having just had my first sip, I think, it takes you back quite quickly. If you've been there before, you're back there again.
Look, I'm very
you
partial
straight
to rum and Coke. It's the coconut bit I'm not sure about. Yeah.
I don't know. I really like coconut, and I think I quite like rum, but this is really just, it's
Sugar?
very basic. I don't know what it is. Well, at the moment, I probably had about 500 to start with 30 years ago, and I think that I'm probably done. I'm not sure it's going to make a comeback. It's very, I don't know, coconutty. Tastes like.
All right. Well, I was just going to say, if you just leave the bottle there, one day Paul and I will visit you in Perth and we can all have a Grunters.
Oh, don't worry. It's going to stay in our sort of liqueur cabinet because it's a great talking piece, isn't it? I had it with Jeremy's expensive whiskies and stuff, so
I saw
took
that.
photos and sent it through to Caroline with the cut crystal, decanter and whatever else going, I might have a Grunters on ice.
I enjoyed that. With the bottles of Verve and Bollinger and that around it, and she had the bottle of Grunters front and centre. I appreciated that.
I'm pleased. I thought you might. I did it straight away when it arrived. Couldn't believe you'd done it. Well done, Schmidty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think, am I back?
Yeah, you are.
You are now.
Yeah, okay. I just said even the bottle looks like a really shit holiday.
Sorry, that was very good.
That might explain, because
looks
you just got nothing. Oh, that's funny, because he got nothing from either of us on that, and that's when he was like, I think my internet must have dropped out, because that was a great
That's
joke.
when I knew my internet had died. I thought that was good.
It looks like one of those holidays where you pay for everything in advance and all the meals are included. And this is the kind of thing, and you get there and they say, all the alcohol's included, and you get there and it's all the substitutes. It's like, this is not quite Malibu. And that's exactly right.
And some kid gets diarrhea in the pool and, you just want to go in the first 2 hours.
Yes. Oh, it does look
Yes.
like a shit holiday in a bottle. That's exactly right. I love it. Well done.
Great.
All right. So, on that note, shall we introduce ourselves? I'm Schmidty.
I'm Swanny.
And I'm Clarky. And together we are...
Trial by Wine.
That's awesome. We are good.
Okay, so do we have a story this week? And if so, who's telling it?
Do I have a story for you? Goodness me. um, this one, like I know we talk about inappropriate content and drunken ramblings. I can promise you this has inappropriate content. It's quite gruesome, actually. So if anyone's really anti-gruesome, I'll tell you at what point you should just switch off. But you should definitely listen for now. And there will be drunken ramblings because I've nearly finished my glass of wine already, which is
We're braced for impact.
Yeah.
great. I can't share with you the headline that got me hooked on this story because it would give it away, and nobody wants that just yet. Now, I'm not sure if either of you have heard of Katherine Mary Knight.
No,
she was
I don't
born on the
think
24th
so.
of October 1955. She's the first sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. And I think today we should just explore exactly why that is. What do you think?
I'm up for that.
Yeah. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory because you know we all like a backstory. Oh, but before we get onto that, I actually was really quite lucky because I did a bit of research and I was flicking across a number of websites, and then I came across Wikipedia, which had a beautiful outline of the whole story. So I feel like my research is a little bit not research. It's just, you know, like when you see the vaccine research and there's people in the lab, and then you see the anti-vaxxer research and it's someone sitting on the toilet looking on their phone. This is probably a little bit more on the anti-vaxxer scale.
Okay. Got it.
So her mother, Barbara Ruffin, was in the Hunter Valley. Barbara and Jack had 4 sons before Barbara began an adulterous relationship with Ken Knight, a friend and
Not to be
co-worker
confused with
of her
Kel Knight.
husband. Yeah, or possibly even
Kath Day, Kel
Deirdre
Knight.
Chambers style. Who knows? What a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
So, of course, small country town, local backlash forced Barbara and Ken to leave Aberdeen and move to Moree, which is another town in New South Wales. None of her 4 sons went with her. The 2 older boys continued to reside with their father, while the 2 younger sons were sent to be raised by an aunt in Sydney. From that point, Barbara and Ken decided that it was time for them to have some kids. So they had 4 additional children, including twin girls born in 1955 in Tenterfield. Lovely little song about Tenterfield. That's another story, though.
Yeah, Peter Allen, right?
That's
Tenterfield
the one.
Satellite.
Yeah, how good is it?
It's good.
So anyway, Katherine Knight was one of the younger of these twin daughters. Now, for people who might think that they know the name, like it's an Australian show, and it was called Kath and Kim. And Kath Day married Kel Knight and became Kath Day Knight. Don't confuse her with Katherine Knight, who is not so nice, and definitely doesn't call Chardonnay Cardonet. Or maybe she does. Anyway, so in 1959, when Knight was 4, Jack Ruffin died, and his 2 boys who had been living with him moved in with Barbara, their mother, and Ken. So Catherine's father was an alcoholic who openly used violence and intimidation to rape his wife Barbara up to 10 times a day.
And she left the other guy, Ruffin, who's now died, for this guy, right? She already had
Yes.
4 children with Ruffin, and she's gone and married this other child. Or they've ended up together, and they have 4 children, and she's
Yes.
left him for
Yes. And I
rape.
love that you've picked up on
okay.
that theme this early, because it will reoccur, and there'll be times where you just go, why are these 2 people together? It'll happen a little bit.
Okay.
Well, maybe, you know, back then in rural Australia, you couldn't rape your wife. Haven't we heard that in the past, where it's in marriage, in the sanctity of marriage or something, so it can't be rape?
Yeah.
Come a long way since then,
right,
yeah.
particularly in
Yeah.
the last few years. So, funnily enough, Barbara, in turn, so this is Catherine's mum, Barbara, in turn often told her daughters intimate details of her sex life and how much she hated sex and men. Makes sense? Yeah.
Well, that's not surprising.
Had she had 8 children in total?
Yes, not in one litter.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, but also to your point about rape not being considered a thing, neither was contraception particularly encouraged. And I don't know we don't know what the religion of these people are, but if they're Catholic, then it wouldn't be a thing. And so, if she's spending her whole time being abused and raped by someone, why would you like sex? And if you had 8 children as a result.
So later, when Knight complained to her mother that one part in a sex act she did not want to perform, Barbara told her to put up with it and stop complaining. It's quite nice advice to get from your mother, isn't it?
Yeah, but her mother was a victim of a severe amount of abuse,
and therefore everyone
couldn't see her own way out of it, and maybe thought that there was no safe way out of it.
So the next little bit to tell you is, by the time she's 11, there's been claims that she's been frequently sexually assaulted. Now, although there are doubts about the details, psychiatrists accept her claims, and the events have been largely confirmed by members of her family. So, at 11, she's been sexually assaulted a number of times.
Yeah, I mean, I'd completely believe that. The boys are being raised in a household where their example is a man who beats and rapes his wife. So, he's normalised sexual violence in that family.
So, coming back to the bit of art, we were talking about her coming from an unconventional and dysfunctional family, but, everyone kind of claims that nowadays.
Yeah.
She was frequently sexually assaulted until she was 11. Apart from her twin sister, the person whom Knight was close to was her uncle Oscar Knight. She was devastated, however, when he committed suicide in 1969 and continues to maintain that his ghost visits her. Right. Mm-hmm. So when Muswellbrook High School, she became a loner and is remembered by classmates as a bully who stood over small children. She assaulted at least one boy at school with a weapon and was once injured by a teacher who was subsequently found to have acted in self-defence. That's not nice, is it? I mean, we all know teachers have it tough at school.
No,
I mean, yeah, well, she's damaged anyway.
Yes, correct. It's a good word. Contrast, though, when she wasn't in a rage, she was a model student and often earned awards for good behaviour. Thank you for not injuring us today, Catherine. You can have some lollies. I feel like...
Was her twin sister going through a similar situation with the abuse and also experience at school?
This is the thing, right? So we talk about were criminals born that way or are they made that way?
Yeah.
There's not a lot that I found on her sister. And I do have a little bit of Catherine was born this way, although I think she was horribly pushed in that and probably past where normal Catherine would have gone if she had a reasonable upbringing. So I don't know, maybe her sister just dealt with things a little bit differently. Anyway, so upon leaving school at 15, without having learned to read and write, she gained employment as a cutter in a clothing factory. 12 months later, she left to start what she referred to as her dream job. What do you reckon Catherine's dream job might be? It wasn't in a typing pool, just in case you're thinking that.
So what year is this?
Kindergarten teacher?
Well, she's 15 years old. Sorry, she's 16. So 15, she had the cutter in the clothing factory. 12 months later, she got her dream job. Wasn't in a kindergarten.
Working as a checkout chick for Bunnings?
Working at a waitress at a 5 and dime? No, working part-time at a 5 and dime. Damn it.
Cattle station?
No. Swanny, any guesses?
No, have you given us any clues? Am I missing something?
I think it's going to to nasty. Or
I can just pluck it out of thin air. Maybe at a mortuary or a butcher.
Oh, jeepers, you're getting real close there. So her dream job is cutting up offal at the local abattoir.
Oh my God, an abattoir.
Yeah. So,
I have a connection to an abattoir.
really? Tell us.
You have a connection to an abattoir.
Wow.
that?
My natural father, I'm adopted, my natural father, his job was listed as working at an abattoir when I was born.
Are you Katherine Knight's
know, exotic.
long-lost twin sister?
Oh,
I think you're a bit
that
too
would be
young.
quite the revelation, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? What year were you born?
I was going to say, let's go back to those dates. I was born in 1973.
Only, 20-something years
She was
too
born
late.
in 55.
Oh, close. Real close. Oh.
So did she
what-
get a
she
job
could
at
have-
an abattoir?
Did she? Yeah, she got a dream job
Her
at the
dream
abattoir.
job. Yeah. Never wants to go back.
And, oh yeah, but so you get your dream job, right?
Yep.
There, she was quickly promoted to boning and was given her own set of butcher's knives.
Oh, that's nice.
So you've got your dream job. You go into the boning room and you start cutting all the meat off the bones and stuff. And you get your butcher's knives. Where do you reckon you'd store your butcher's knives?
Oh, in one of those, canvas roll-up, knife set things, whatever they're called.
Swanny, where would you store yours? Same place? Somewhere different?
I don't know. I would have assumed that there's something that is supplied on site. I wouldn't have thought you would have to
Yes.
take them home with you, would you? She's not like a
Yeah.
hairdresser or a...
Well, I think that's
Is
a
that right?
reasonable assumption too. I think chefs take their knives home.
I mean, industrial size
Yeah,
knife.
chefs take their knives home because a knife can cost, if you've got really good
Oh, I
knives,
know
they
they're
can
really
cost
expensive,
$100
but I didn't know
each, yeah.
that.
But
Or
of course,
more than that.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they travel with them all the time?
but we're not talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Schmidty and Swanny, are we? We're talking about
Oh.
Katherine Knight. Catherine Knight, at home, she hangs her knives over her bed, so they would always be handy if I needed them. A habit she continued until her incarceration
isn't it?
everywhere she lived.
Do you think maybe, given that she was a victim of abuse as a young person, that the idea of having her knives handy is
I
a kind
totally,
of security or
totally
safety
do.
thing?
But coming
Totally.
back
She's
to
a
the
psycho.
why are people with people, if you brought someone home to your bed and there were knives hanging above it. So Catherine's first husband was David Kellett. So he was quite a hard drinker, and they met in 1973, which I think is around the time that someone we know quite closely was born, and her father, her natural father.
And
what
did
do you
they meet
call
in
it?
an
Is it-
abattoir, perchance?
was an abattoir worker. I don't want to cast nasturtiums.
No.
Well, that's exactly the year, 1973. I have actually met my natural parents, so fortunately we're not going to have a massive shocker for me here. That would be a hard way to find
revelation.
out, wouldn't it? Yeah. Could you imagine?
And that would be a Deirdre Chambers moment, wouldn't it?
The
Oh,
ultimate.
yeah, God. Well, thank goodness. I'm glad we got that clarified.
You did say one thing though, Paul, which has got me interested already, which was you called Paul Kellett her first husband.
So
I
his
like to
name-
call my current husband my first husband.
Yeah,
You did it as
yeah.
a joke. My
So,
first husband, my current
yeah.
husband.
Correct. So David Kellett was
Yes.
her first. We're going to explore each of her partners until the very end. So
Okay.
yeah.
So Paul Kellett, she met at the
No,
abattoir.
David.
His name's David. Where are
Kellett.
you getting Paul
It's not-
from?
It's not
David Kellett.
me.
So where did I get Paul from? Oh, sorry, I'm using your name.
Yes. So, he was quite a hard drinker, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him, which might help you understand why.
Okay.
That'll be why
So
Carl is
he-
confusing the two of you.
Yes, because
That's
I'm
why she
telling
keeps
you
calling you
about
Paul
him.
Kellett. No, because you're a hard drinker. Anyway, go on.
I think I'm quite an easy drinker. doesn't take a lot at all. Anyway, so he used to work for the, I don't know, railways, whatever they're called. And whilst working there, his friend was killed in front of him in a shunting accident. Not a Cardenay shunt kind of shunting accident, but a shunting accident
I bet they-
nonetheless.
I bet they thought that was a bit of a shunting accident. So that's. Do I assume that's like where two carriages push up against each other, or?
Well, you could say that, but I do recall a fast-forward send-up of Thomas the Tank Engine where they'd been shunting all night, and I'm not sure if that's kind of the way that... I don't really know how shunting works, but I think I can imagine a whole lot of funny things about shunting.
Except in this case,
being
because it was a
killed.
tragic accident. Yeah.
Yes.
It's all fun and games until
Someone squished between carriages. Yes.
Yes, and you lose your
then
friend
you're shunted.
in a horrible shunting accident.
In a horrible, tragic accident, yes.
Yeah, so that was one thing that might have disturbed him quite a bit. So anyway, the other horrible thing that happened to him was he was present when a train hit a school bus in Kempsey, killing 6 children in 1968.
That's awful.
Horrendous.
No, it is. Was he present because he was working on the railway, or is it just literally an awful coincidence?
Yeah. No, well,
Right.
I'm assuming so, and so since we don't have any fact checkers here, and I'm the one telling the story, I feel like whatever I assume is fact until one of our listeners says, "You lot just make
That's
shit
not
up."
true.
Do you want to really know what happened? And if they do that, post it on the Facebook site, and we'll all be better for it.
trialbywine@gmail.com.
Correct. Until then, I will take poetic license and assume whatever I want, and it'll be fact.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Great.
So, is that why he left the railway because he'd had these terrible experiences, and that's why he ended up in an abattoir? Because that's the kind of place you go to chill out after having terrible experiences.
gosh.
You go to the abattoir.
Well, so there's a little bit more about it. So with the 6 kids, he helped rescue the injured and remove the bodies. So he was quite involved in the whole thing, and his heavy drinking has been attributed to that, which is good because I feel like he's got a really solid reason for heavy drinking.
Yes, I think that he's probably got post-traumatic stress, I'd imagine.
Yeah, yep. And this was,
he's in both
what'd you
those,
say,
so
1960, late 60s. So, he probably wasn't given adequate treatment for that either. It would have been go and do a jog around the paddock and harden up,
Yeah, correct. And maybe have a couple of beers because that's what we all do.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway,
Right, so
after
that's David.
Well, that's David pre-Katherine. So after that, he then went and started working at the Aberdeen Abattoir, which is where he met Katherine's brother. So after he met Katherine's brother, he then began dating Katherine. And of course, because this is a kind of a twisted, messed up story that wouldn't apply to most of us, he also occasionally partnered with her twin sister.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to now assume that partnering means, shagging occasionally.
Well, we are very well within our rights to assume that because no one here can prove otherwise. But let's in the interest of remaining non-sexual, let's assume it was a mixed doubles tennis final and they were partnering in that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah. So Katherine was so in love with David Kellett that often, if he got into a fight, Katherine would step in and back him up with her fists.
Well, that's what you want out of a good woman.
I'm assuming he must have got into more than one fight. It must be something that happened quite regularly to make comment.
I
Wasn't
know,
a one-off
right?
thing.
Like, how many fights do you have in abattoirs? I don't know. I never worked in one. I have sent sheep there.
But surely they're not fighting in the abattoir. They're fighting in the local pub or, down the road at the servo. I don't know.
In the supermarket over toilet
work.
paper in COVID lockdowns.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the normal.
Correct. So this is my favourite, and it's a really nice... you know how you hear about all these romantic ways to propose to your partner?
Yeah.
So Knight married Kellett in 1974 at her request. So anyway,
Okay.
at the wedding, the couple arrived at the service on her motorcycle. And of course, he was very intoxicated as a pillion passenger. But upon arriving at the wedding, Catherine's mother, Barbara, gave David some advice. What
Right.
do you reckon? What advice would you like from your mother to give to your...
Run for your life. Get as far out of Dodge as you can.
Yes.
This is a girl who hangs her knives over the bed. I don't know why you've been going out with her for so long, but you need to get out of Dodge as soon as you can. Was it something like that?
Well, yeah, I think that's fairly accurate. I guess what I was wondering is, if you were about to marry someone and you saw their mother at the church and they were to give you some advice, what would you want it to be? Probably not this advice, but here it is. So Barbara said to David, watch out. You better watch this one or she'll fucking kill you. Stir her up the wrong way or do the wrong thing and you're fucked. Don't ever think of playing up on... Yeah, wait, there's more advice.
Oh, go on, yeah.
Don't ever think of playing up on her. She'll fucking kill you. And that was her mother talking. She told me she's got something loose.
She said she's got something loose. What?
Yeah. No, so the mum then said she's got something loose. She's got a screw loose somewhere. So, what does tradition say about your wedding on the wedding night?
Get carried over the threshold in those days. Go to your house.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
However, what did these pair do?
well, we're talking about Catherine, aren't we? So on their wedding night, she tried to strangle David. And she later explained that it was because he fell asleep after only having intercourse 3 times.
Oh, well, that's perfectly reasonable.
Oh, God.
That's a match made in heaven, isn't it? Like true love.
Well, she was just, she's nuts. Oh, no, she's
quite
her
nice,
mother
isn't
had
she?
it right. I think her mother
agreed.
called it correctly. She's got
But
a
I
screw
definitely
loose.
wouldn't have been exposed to that prior to the wedding night. I mean,
Yeah. Yep,
let's
good
assume
point.
that if she was like that at school, I'm sure she's got form. I'm sure she just didn't go all of a sudden on the wedding night, oh, you're not going to put out again, I'm going to wrap my hands around your throat. Anyway, so...
Well, you don't know because maybe she had him legally then. You're going nowhere. You can't leave me now.
Oh, I think Carla's probably right in that some of this behaviour would have been there prior.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a little bit more then.
Okay.
So the marriage proved particularly violent, and on one occasion, a heavily pregnant knight burned all of Kellett's clothing and shoes before hitting him across the back of the head with a frying pan, simply because he arrived home late from a darts competition after reaching the finals.
That's his story anyway.
Well, that's... I don't even know if that's his story. That's Wikipedia's story.
That's verified fact. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, frying pan, that can kill someone. So that's pretty bad. Yep.
Yeah, it's a fair effort.
Okay, so
As can
effectively,
strangling
you're
someone,
telling
though.
us she was... Yeah, I was just about to say, effectively you're telling us that she was an abusive partner.
Correct.
Yes.
I'm definitely telling you that, yes. So in
Yeah,
theory...
and
know
I'll
things
go
with
back to the
her.
fact that she grew up in a household of systemic violence and abuse.
Yes.
Just saying. Not saying
Yes.
it's okay that she continued that, but there's a bit of a cycle of abuse here.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes. So in fear for his life, Kellett fled before collapsing in a neighbour's house, and he was later treated for a severely fractured skull. Police
Oh,
wanted...
jeez.
Yeah. Police wanted to charge Knight, but she changed her behaviour to ingratiating Kellett and talked him into dropping the charges.
Okay.
I refer back to Swanny's earlier comment about why are they still together, or how did these people stay together?
Yeah.
You've been cracked on the back of the head with a frying pan to the point where your skull fractures, but you your partner doesn't get charged because she talks you back into loving her because she's really lovely.
Well,
Yeah,
it's just
well,
another
also
domestic
she was-
violence situation, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
It
and
is.
she was heavily pregnant though when that happened. So
yeah,
you
well,
know there
that
might be a
makes
part
sense
of him.
then.
Well, oh, that's fine, Paul. However, he may have felt like, oh well, she's about to have a kid, so I better behave myself, and maybe hormones made her crazy than usual. Or
she's
just
about to have
I
a
feel
kid.
responsible.
I better behave myself or she'll crack me over the back of her head with a frying pan again. Like, never again will I come home late from a darts competition after winning the final. Anyway, so let's continue.
I'm not saying she's not a nutbag, but I'm also aware that this
glad.
man has, as per Carla says, been with this woman for a whole period of time. Like, she would have been a nutbag the whole time. You know, and he's
we are the
now
best
he's impregnated
victim
her.
blamers going around.
I certainly feel like
victim
I
blaming.
am.
I'm not victim blaming. I'm saying that
100% you are. He knew that she was
I'm
violent.
the opposite.
Therefore,
No, I'm the opposite of victim blaming. I'm explaining why he went back. I'm explaining why he would have felt responsible for going back. I'm not saying that he should have. I believe he should have left her, but I'm saying I understand why he would have felt that it was extenuating circumstances and went back into an abusive relationship in the 70s. You know, like, it wasn't the
Yeah.
only one. It was a different time. The police wouldn't have seen, but they might have seen this happening, but at the same time, there was still a stigma about men being abused by women. So I'm actually not victim blaming. I'm doing the opposite. I'm explaining why this person kept putting himself in a dangerous situation.
excellent. Okay, well, thank you for explaining that, and I'm glad you're
welcome.
not. So let's continue then. So in May 1976, shortly after the birth of their first child, Melissa Ann, Kellett left Catherine for another woman, apparently unable to cope with Catherine's abuse. Go figure. That makes sense. So the next day, Catherine was behaving erratically. She was pushing Melissa Ann around in the pram and, side to side quite violently. People were getting a bit concerned. And so she was taken to hospital. I don't know how you would get from behaving erratically, pushing a pram around and taken to hospital, but that's what happened. And she was diagnosed with postnatal depression and spent several weeks recovering. After being released from hospital from her postnatal depression incident, she placed 2-month-old Melissa Ann on a railway line shortly before a train was due.
Oh my God.
She then stole an axe, went into town and threatened to kill several people. A man known in the district as Old Ted, who was foraging near the railway line, I'm not sure what he was foraging for near the railway line.
Berries.
Berries, bluestone rocks.
Probably
who
copper.
knows?
Worry.
Yep. So he was foraging near the railway line and found and rescued Melissa, by all accounts, only
he's a
minutes
hero.
before the train passed.
Wow, that's just
Yeah.
awful. But luckily, old Ted was on hand foraging.
Thanks for Old Ted. Yep. Top bloke. So, Knight was arrested and again taken to hospital, but apparently she recovered and signed herself out the following day.
Yeah.
Who's in charge here?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. What a clusterfuck, excuse me. But
You've been arrested, we'll take you to hospital, and you can just sign yourself out the next day because,
But she'd been in town with an axe, right?
Yeah, threatening to kill people, put her daughter on a train line. But,
Yeah, that's
Yeah, at this point she
ridiculous.
should have been locked up and given,
Yes.
psychiatric assessment
help.
and probably put in a mental facility. Instead of just signing yourself out, I'm fine now. Sorry, just have a little episode. I'm good now.
I'm
sorry about yesterday.
I just
So-
didn't feel
Fine.
myself.
So after all of that, you think, I'll go and lay low and, maybe smoke some joints in the backyard or something. But no, not our Catherine. few days later, she slashed the face of a woman with one of her knives and demanded she drive her to
God.
Queensland to find Kellett.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Why
Did
this
she know this
woman?
woman or was it just
Yeah.
a stranger?
No. So the woman escaped after they stopped at a service station. But by the time police arrived, Knight had taken a young boy hostage and was threatening him with a knife.
So are these people just
Ooh.
random?
Well, yes, but there is a reason for this. So she was disarmed when police attacked her with brooms. Like modern day Australia, you'll get tasered, you'll get water cannoned,
Shot.
you'll get hit by the baton, you'll get an earthquake, as
I'm amazed
recently
she
happened.
didn't get shot.
No,
I'm
she got
amazed she didn't get
broomed.
shot. Australian police,
Wasn't
I
in
know, but
Victoria.
Australian police have, excuse me, the New South Wales police are just as good at shooting people. They've always carried guns, so it's surprising that she wasn't shot. But I suppose
Have they
they
always
generally
carried
shoot you
brooms?
if you brandish it at them, not at
So
someone
where
else.
did this happen, Paul? Where was she found and where did they attack her with the brooms? At a service station or somewhere?
Yeah, this is the same service station. So she slashed the face of the woman. But
She
then
says drive
Just
to Queensland.
but that woman was not related. She just randomly attacked a person, said, "Now drive me to Queensland," or I'll slash you again. Or
yes. So she got the woman to take her to Queensland because that's where Kellett was, and she
So
decided.
she made it to Queensland.
they went to
No. So she got the woman, slashed her
Yeah.
face, then said, "Take me
Correct.
to Queensland." On the way to Queensland, they stopped at a service station. The woman got away, but then before the police could arrive, she's got a young boy,
some poor kid.
and she's got him
Oh.
with a knife.
Hostage.
So then
Right.
she's disarmed when police attack her with brooms. Now, I don't know
Brooms?
that
Oh,
police
yeah.
hold brooms on them, and it all feels a little bit like monkey magic now, where they get their brooms and
That
just
magic
start...
staff was pretty impressive. So,
Yeah,
if it was monkey magic, it would only take one to disarm her, not multiple.
Correct. And a little cloud to get them there.
That's right.
Exactly. Just like that. So anyway, so then she was admitted to the Morisset Psychiatric Hospital. Oddly,
Alanis
there are times-
Morissette's
Exactly. There, you can see the connection, right?
Ironic.
jagged little pill. Did they give her a jagged little pill while she was there?
I think they needed to, but while she was there, she told the nurses she'd intended to kill the mechanic at the service station because he had repaired Kellett's car, which had allowed him to leave, and then kill both her husband and his mother when she arrived in Queensland. So she stopped at the service station to kill the mechanic because he's the one who made it possible for David to get away. Then she's
away
going to go to
from it, yeah.
Queensland and kill David and his mum.
So where is she now? Has she made it to Queensland or is she still in New South
No,
Wales
no.
in this hospital?
Yeah, no.
Hang on.
She's still at the Morisset Psychiatric Hospital, also
Okay.
known as the Alanis Morisset Psychiatric Hospital.
That's right. Yeah, it is now. Yeah.
Only on Trial by Wine, not anywhere else. You won't see a photo of the Alanis Morisset Psychiatric Hospital. So, guess what happens next? So, David Kellett has just found out that Katherine is on her way to murder him,
Kill
but
him
gets caught
and
and,
his mother.
goes into a
Yeah.
psychiatric hospital. What do you think
He
your
comes
next?
home to her. He comes home to her.
That's exactly it. So when the police informed him of the incident, he left his girlfriend and moved to Aberdeen with his mother to support Katherine. So she was released on the 9th of August in 1976 into the care of her mother-in-law. So along with Kellett, they moved to Ipswich, a city west of Brisbane, for those who don't know, and she obtained a job at the Dinmore Meat Works.
Back in her heartland.
I feel like she just needs to be kept
Dream
away.
Oh, she loves a good of meat.
Oh,
Ugh.
Jesus.
Honestly, I sometimes, I like to cook, but the smell of raw meat is so gross. The idea of working in an abattoir and doing my specialty of boning, according to her, just turns my stomach. Anyway.
So, on the 6th of March 1983, they had another daughter, Natasha Marie.
So how many years have we jumped forward here?
Well, 1983 now. So 1976, she was released.
Oh, so 6 years later. Okay.
Yeah. So they had the second daughter. In 1984, she left him and moved first to her parents' house in Aberdeen, then to a rented house near Muswellbrook. I'm not sure why she left him.
Lucky escape on his behalf, though.
Maybe because she was sick of strangling him after only making love 3 times in the night. Who knows?
Did she take the children with her? Do we know?
I don't know.
Did she take Melissa and Natasha with her?
Yeah, no, it doesn't say.
Okay.
What was her optimal amount of lovemaking in the evening that was his,
Well, we never got to
what was
that.
the expectation?
But it's a really good question because given that we are trial by wine, like if you are having sex with someone and you want to have sex more than once, like I don't know what you do, and I don't know what you do after twice and you want to have sex with them more, but I do now know.
Maybe tell them up front. Maybe say, look, just so you know, I can be quite triggered. So if you're unlikely to want to make love to me more than 3 times, I do get a little bit murderous. So,
Yes.
A bit strangling.
So just telling you up front, there's a performance requirement. It does trigger me. I will lose control. So I'm just putting it out there, just so you know.
Exactly.
It's a KPI.
So I know that
KPI.
only 3 times is punishable by strangling, but I'm not sure how it tapers off, like 4, 5, 6, 7, and when it actually goes, all right, let's go to sleep.
I think you need to be more concerned at what you get if you only get to do it once or twice. That's what you really need to be concerned about.
Well, but at what point is the punishment as minor as a Chinese burn? 9? 9, and he didn't quite make it to 10. You get a Chinese burn for that.
I feel like once the friction is enough to start a fire, maybe then
Cue vomit face. Thanks very much.
That was an excellent vomit face. Well done. So, although she returned to work at the abattoir, she injured her back the following year and went on a disability pension.
Oh, do we know how she hurt her back?
I feel like she probably more likely deadlifted a co-worker after smacking him on the back of the head with half a cow.
With a frying pan?
No, with half a cow, I reckon, because it's an abattoir.
Yeah.
So anyway,
what
no
have you
longer
got handy? I've got a leg of lamb handy. I'm going to smack you over the head with that.
Rewind. Have you seen Serial Mum? That's a scene out of that.
No, I haven't.
No.
Serial Mum's great. It's this movie about this woman who just wants the world to be perfect. And so it's kind of a little bit trial by wine, except she only has one punishment, which is murder. And so she murders somebody. So she murders someone for not rewinding their videotapes by smacking them to death with a leg of lamb.
Frozen?
No, cooked. Cooked leg of lamb.
Cooked.
Because she invited them over for dinner
important.
and then rewound.
And murdered them.
And when she hits them, she goes, rewind, as she hits them to say, you need to rewind your videos.
Wear a mask. Yeah, anyway. Maybe I'm going to turn into that woman.
We need to add that to our list of appropriate punishments.
What, leg of lamb slap?
Yeah, yes. and possibly slap to death. Possibly just slap.
Yeah, I guess that is the differentiating factor. It's not a simple slap, it's to the death.
Yes.
That's why it matters if it's cooked, if it's raw, or if it's frozen.
Yeah.
If it's frozen, it's just like a baseball bat,
It's like a frying pan. Okay. Yes.
It
anyway,
is. Yes.
Back to the story. So now that she's on the disability pension, she doesn't need to rent accommodation close to work. So the government gave her housing commission residence in Aberdeen. So that's it for husband number 1.
He just disappears. That's it. Yep.
No, she left him. Remember?
Yeah, but from our story, from here on in, he's no longer a player.
He's irrelevant. He was never doing violent acts. It was all.
So by all accounts, he was probably a pretty good guy who had had some severe trauma in terms of what he'd seen with the bus crash with the 6 children, and then the friend who was shunted to death. And then, of course, being married to a woman who was clearly a psychopath who was, abusing him.
I feel like to Schmidty's point, his future mother-in-law did warn him. Me.
I realised that he was warned, but perhaps he took it with a pinch of salt, as did my brother-in-law. Mind you, having said that, they are still together. Maybe my brother-in-law is scared that the mafia will come and get him.
But importantly, she left him. Jesus.
Yeah, yes. Well, because she has the power in the relationship.
So should we move on to husband number 2?
Oh, I can't wait. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I say husband number 2. I'm not sure if they actually got married, but, I'm just going to refer to them all as husbands until our listeners prove us otherwise. It is trial by wine, licensed to make up shit that fits the story. So,
license granted.
Thank you. Husband number 2 is David Saunders. Knight met David Saunders when he was 38 years old, and he was working in the mines in 1986. A few months later, he moved in with her and her daughters, although he kept his old apartment in Scone. So Knight soon became jealous regarding what he did when she was not around and would often throw him out. He would move back to his apartment
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Have you seen photos of this woman? Is she, beautiful? Because she seems to attract men, no problem.
I have seen photos of her.
Or she's got a magic pussy.
What?
She might have a magic pussy. So she might have a magic pussy.
I didn't find her pretty. I didn't find her in any way attractive. I must say I didn't go looking at her magic pussy, although I don't think they had photos of it. I do have a feel like if she had a magic pussy, we would have discussed it by now.
Well, no,
she's only been with 2 blokes so far that we know of. It's not like she's got a...
strangles one. She tries to kill him hit him over the head. She threatens to murder him, the mechanic and the mother, and he comes back to her. I mean,
2 blokes outside of her family. What was the name of the woman
last week? Janelle. See, Janelle was too pretty. Maybe this one's too pretty.
I see. Now I'm with you.
Yeah, that is not Catherine's curse. No, I promise you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is not her curse.
We will put a photo up for our listeners to see the beauty that is Catherine.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, have you just Googled it yourself? What?
You've got
I don't know if
I just Googled this woman's...
Yeah.
Curly hair?
I think she's definitely... She's probably suffering she's making Janelle look good, I think. I don't think that it was her looks that were
correct. She's not pretty enough that if she smacked you on she's not pretty enough that if she smacked you on the back of the head with a fry pan, you would go back to her.
No, I've just Googled her too. Yep. Okay. Wow, magic pussy it is. Okay.
Yes, we will put photos up, and if any of our listeners can find a photo of the magic pussy, please put that up too. That is not a license to put porn up on the website, on the Facebook page.
No. Don't worry, we'll moderate it. It's all good. Okay. Oh my Lord. All right.
I know, right? So true to form, she soon became jealous regarding what David Saunders was doing when she was not around and would often throw him out. He'd move back to his apartment where she'd invariably follow him and beg him to return. So then...
Drama.
In May 1987, she cut the throat of his 2-month-old dingo pup in front of him.
Oh, my God.
I think we're all very much animal lovers, and you've crossed the line there.
Way.
What a sicko.
I know, right? Do you want to know why?
Why did you do that?
Yes.
Yes. Why did she do that? What was she trying to demonstrate?
So she did that as an
It
example.
wasn't allowed
of,
to love anyone else.
that
What
was
she
an
do to him.
example of what she would do to him if he ever had an affair.
I mean...
And then guess what she did?
God, poor puppy. Ate it.
No, she didn't eat it. No, it's a God, we're not quite there yet. So
Sex with him.
no, she
I've seen a
knocked him
photo of it.
unconscious
She
with
could
a
just do
frying
anything.
pan.
She didn't.
She totally knocked him unconscious with a frying pan. If you
What, after killing the dog?
if you ever have an affair with me, I will do this. And she cuts the throat of the dog. He hasn't had an affair.
Oh.
And then she cracks him on the back of the head with a frying pan to the point where he's unconscious. So this is in May 1987. June 1988, she gave birth to a third daughter, Sarah. So
So did he stay with her? So he took that as a warning and thought, all right, thank you for giving me the heads up. I'm good to go now that I know what the expectations are. Oh, God.
So anyway, she gives birth to the third daughter, Sarah, which prompts him to put a deposit on a house.
Oh, it's a fairy tale.
We are in this together. So he puts the deposit on the house, but this is her, right? This is how loving she is. She paid the deposit off with her workers' compensation in 1989 because she got workers' compensation from the abattoir when she used half a cow to kill someone that she worked with, or whatever we were joking about earlier. So she got workers' comp for that. Mm-hmm. And of course her dream job was obviously working in the abattoir, but guess what her second dream job was?
Working in a funeral parlour.
Interior decorating. So she
that's a leap.
I made that bit up. I'm not sure if it really was her her second dream job, but
It's a very unusual leap.
Yeah, but no, the reason for that is that she decorates the house throughout with animal skins, skulls, horns, rusty animal traps, leather jackets, old boots, machetes, rakes, and pitchforks. No space, including the ceilings, was left uncovered.
Maybe she's got access to it because of the abattoir. I don't know. Maybe
she's
and there's
just
photos
a
of that.
fucking nut job.
She is. I think we've already established that. But the bit about the skins and up until he said rakes, I was like, oh, I get it.
did
It's
say
rustic.
rake.
It's. I know.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. I can imagine that some people might have had a sort of an animal skin, leopard skin, it's a bit garish vibe going on. So I can understand that she may or may not have liked that. But wasn't it just sort of the sheer volume of it by the sounds of things, that every room was decorated like that?
Correct.
And what else did you say? There were machetes.
Yeah. But also, if someone sleeps with knives above their bed and then decorates the house like that, it's not a loving household, I feel. Anyway.
Well, I don't know. I don't disagree with you, but we've all seen the stereotype of Midwestern Americans with cow hides and
heads
stuffed deer heads and stuffed bears and all that. That's cabin. I agree that I wouldn't go so far as to put a rake or a machete or a rusty trap. But she's just got a little bit too far with that
actually
idea.
accept
On the
everything
ceiling.
except the rake.
On the ceiling, it just
the rake.
it
I
makes
can't
me
come
think
back.
about.
I
can't
draw a
come
line
at
at the
any-
rake.
There's a
I
hardcore
do draw a
gardener.
line at the rake. I
You lost
draw
me
a
at the
line,
rake.
and
Yeah.
I don't think
Sorry,
we're talking about a
Catherine.
plastic
Too
rake,
much.
are we? No, but we're not talking about a plastic leaf rake.
You had me
We're
at
talking
hello.
about-
You lost me at the rake.
Right.
I'm pretty sure this rake is one of those steel ones that could do damage if it fell from the ceiling. It's not a plastic leaf rake.
If it can't do
Is it?
damage, it's not in Catherine's house.
That's right. And that's why you lost me at the rake. Correct.
And are the three daughters
Anyway.
still with her at this point? I assume they are.
Well, the children oddly get left out quite a lot, but probably because it's not PG rated. The whole
Okay.
life of Catherine is not. Do you want to know how they like whether they stayed together until death do they part, or whether they actually separated?
Who's his husband number 2, or David Saunders?
Yeah, David and Catherine. Do you reckon they stayed together forever, or do you reckon they left or they separated?
Oh, there
I
won't be
reckon
much
she
of a
killed
story
him.
if they've dated them forever.
I'll give you a hint.
I have a feeling. Oh, I thought she killed
gonna
him.
say-
Okay, all right.
But,
separated.
no, they stayed together, and that's the end of this story. That would have been.
But if she
Yeah, I
killed
know,
him,
right?
that would be a very real
okay.
separation.
Well, would you like to hear how they separated?
Yes,
Go ahead,
please.
I'm glad you asked. So, after an argument in which she hit Saunders in the face with an iron before stabbing him in the stomach with a pair of scissors,
Oh,
That is awful and shocking and gratuitous. And so my laugh, I've just got to qualify there, it was an uncomfortable and awkward laugh.
but
not funny.
we've all got to. We should remind our viewers now. This is trial by wine. This is not meant to be appropriate responses. We completely understand that this is ridiculous.
That's an
But
uncomfortable
sometimes
laugh.
laughter is the way you cope with this stuff.
She hit him in the head with an iron and stabbed him in the guts with scissors.
Hit him in the face with an iron. I'm not sure if it was hot or not. It could have been
matter,
like,
it's still gonna
holding the cord and swinging it round. I don't really know.
oh,
Anyway, so
Oh, that would have
after
killed him.
being
Surely
hit
that
in
would
the
have killed
face-
him. If you went full like discus or what do you call it? You know, like the hammer.
Hammer throw.
If you went the hammer with a
Hammer
throw
throw
with
with
an
iron.
iron. That would kill someone.
That's the Housewives of 1980s Australia championships. Anyway, so
The very bad housewives, not the good ones.
exactly after he's been hit in the face with an iron and stabbed with a pair of scissors, he decided he should move back to Scone. But when he later returned home to Aberdeen, and I don't know why that happened, he found she had cut up all his clothes.
Oh, she's done that before, hasn't she? Burnt someone's clothes and shoes.
Yeah, she'd done the burn.
Oh, Paul Kellett. Paul/David Kellett.
Yeah, that's right.
Paul
yeah.
David Kellett. David Paul Kellett, one or the other, yeah.
So he then took long service leave and went into hiding. Understandably. She tried to find him, but no one admitted to knowing his whereabouts.
Why wasn't she in jail? Why wasn't she in trouble for having hurt him so gratuitously and stabbing him with scissors? I mean, how did she get away with that again?
As I read this, I'm going, my God, like, I reckon if I went out to a shop in Wodonga, I'd end up in jail because I breached a public health order. And
Yeah, and he is going, no.
this is what I actually Googled why didn't she end up in jail, and I couldn't actually find a reasonable answer to that, because that is a question I knew that would come up. I don't know though.
God.
So anyway, she tried
Did
to
he make
find
a
him. But
complaint? Like,
pardon?
we got to assume he was hospitalised for that. Did he make a complaint?
Well, so this
Maybe
is
the answer to why she doesn't end up in jail is because he said, I fell into her scissors. I fell into her scissors 9 times. You know?
exactly. I'm about to tell you why, right?
Okay, all right.
So after he'd left and gone into hiding and she couldn't find him, several months later, he returned to see his daughter and found that Knight had gone to the police and unjustly told them she was afraid of him and they had issued her an AVO against him.
Right.
Ah.
Let's go to partner number 4.
Number 4.
Number 3.
Let's go to partner number 3.
I thought Okay.
Now we know there's a number 4, so let's get through number 3.
Like,
Yeah, 'cause-
seriously, I know I've had a few drinks,
little
but
one.
what?
I've got 3 and 4 on the screen, and 3 is only very small, so I got a bit confused. Anyway,
He's a bit player, is he?
so
Penis eye.
in 1997, Knight became pregnant by 43-year-old former abattoir co-worker John Chillingworth and gave birth to a boy that they named Eric. So I don't know how many kids she's had now. I can't keep up with it, and I'm not even going to try.
4.
I feel like
She's had 3 girls and a boy.
She's had Melissa Ann, Natasha, Sarah, and Eric.
So their relationship lasted 3 years before she left him for a man she'd been having an affair with for some time, John Price. So here we are,
Okay.
and this is where the real story begins. And as I said to our listeners earlier, this is the bit where if you really don't like gruesome, it gets gruesome. So the first part up to this point has been a little bit of shits and giggles in comparison to where we're really going now.
Oh my God. All right.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Are you ready? You're both committed?
Yeah.
You're scaring me now, but yes.
So to anyone who hasn't left us by now, thank you for sticking with us. This is where shit gets real. So, as we said, Katherine had been having an affair with John for a little while. John Chillingworth, that is, and she'd been having an affair with John Price. So John Charles Price was born in 1955, same year as Katherine. He was the father of 3 children when she and him started having an affair. Reputedly, he was a terrific bloke, liked by everyone who knew him. His own marriage had ended in 1988. While his 2-year-old daughter had remained with his former wife, the older 2 children had lived with him. This is the bit that I think has been almost a common theme throughout. Price was well aware of Knight's violent reputation as she moved into his house in 1995. That's a little bit common, isn't it?
95. She's been doing this. So the original violence was in the early 70s. So she's been 25 years of this in this same area.
It's nuts, correct? Yes, and
Unbelievable.
she's just got her 4th partner who is well aware. So remember, old mate was told by the
warned.
mum, be very careful. This one knew about stuff. Anyway, here we are.
Magic pussy.
So can I just check? So we've
Magic
got
pussy. Can you put a little
It's a
review?
magic pussy.
Oh my
only
goodness. Dave
explanation.
Kellett,
Yes.
Dave Saunders, is it?
Yes.
And then who's John?
John
Chillingworth.
Chillingworth, and now we're with John Price.
Okay, so with these 3 that she had the 4 kids, so she's got 4 kids and a magic pussy. So not only is she like raising children,
Springs
she's still
back.
I tell
It's
you
sprung
what.
back every
Well,
time.
not that, the fact that she's got the time to be using it is what I sort of think is more of a...
at least 10 times a night. And she has been doing her Kegels like nobody on earth.
I don't know what she's been doing, but... So is she with John Price now? She's left John Chillingworth, or is she having an affair?
So
That's
now
really
we're
confusing.
now we're with Katherine Knight and John Price.
Okay, so she's with Pricey, right?
Yep.
Got it.
His children liked her. He was aware. He was making a lot of money working in the local mines. Apart from violent arguments at first, life was a bunch of roses.
Oh.
Oh, that's nice. In
She
1998,
must be, I swear, I go back to my point earlier where when she wasn't a psycho, she must have been quite the opposite of a psycho.
a bunch of roses.
Bunch of roses. Yeah, exactly.
The magic pussy.
Yeah,
Well, that
magic
too. That's
pussy,
definitely
yes.
there.
Yes, goodness. So in 1998, Knight and Price fought over his refusal to marry her. In retaliation, she videotaped items he had allegedly stolen from work and sent the tape to his boss. Although the items are out-of-date medical kits that he had scavenged from the company rubbish tip, Price was fired from the job he had held for 17 years.
Oh.
It must be love, love, love. Nothing more, nothing less. Love is the best. That same day, he kicked her out, and she returned to her own home while news of what she had done spread throughout the town. A few months later, Price restarted the relationship. To your point, Caroline?
Magic pussy.
Although he now refused to allow her to move in with him. The fighting became even more frequent, and most of his friends would no longer have anything to do with him while they remained together. Classic domestic violence.
Yeah.
So this is the bit that gets me. We're about to go into February 2000.
Oh my God.
It's getting so close.
How do we not know about this?
I've never heard of it.
So in February 2000, a series of assaults on Price culminated with Knight stabbing him in the chest. Finally fed up, he kicked her out of his house. Now, so on the 29th of February, he stopped at the Scone Magistrates Court on his way to work and took out a restraining order in an attempt to keep her away from both him and his children.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense, right?
Oh no, it's the right thing to do. Yeah.
I mean, why wasn't she arrested again for stabbing him? Because they don't seem to report it.
Like, I know, right? God. This is the constant thing that kept coming up with me, and I refer you back to earlier when Swanny said, why are these people still together? Like, they just keep going.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the same afternoon that he'd got the restraining order, he told his co-workers that if he didn't come into work the next day, it would be because Knight had murdered him.
Oh no.
Uh-huh. Despite their pleas that Price should not return home, he stated that he was afraid Knight would kill his children if he did not. Price arrived home to find that Knight, although not there herself, had sent the children away for a sleepover at a friend's house. So the kids are away, he's there. He then spent the evening with his neighbours before returning home and going to bed at about 11 p.m. Earlier that day, Knight had bought new black lingerie and had videotaped herself and sent it to all her children while making comments which have since been interpreted as a crude will. She later arrived at Price's house while he was sleeping and sat watching television for a few minutes before having a shower. So anyway, so he's asleep. She's watched a bit of TV. She's gone and had a shower. Then she's gone and woke...
And they're in the same house.
Yeah, same house.
Yes.
Then she's gone and woke Price up and they had sex, after which he fell asleep. 3 times. It all...
Only one time.
Yeah, I know. So, remember you asked earlier what happens if it's only once?
Yes.
Yeah. So at 6 a.m. the next day, the neighbour became concerned that Price's car was still in the driveway. So a neighbour is concerned that he's still in his house with his partner. That's how bad this has got.
At 6 a.m. At 6 a.m. Yeah, that'd be...
Yeah, I know, right? And when he did not arrive at work, his employer sent a worker to see what was wrong. Both the neighbour
he had
and
said the day before, if I don't come in tomorrow, she's killed me.
Uh-huh. Well, guess what's happened? So
She's killed
both
him.
the neighbour and the worker tried knocking on Price's bedroom window to wake him, but they alerted police after noticing blood on the front door. Anyway, so the police arrived at 8 a.m. Breaking down the back door, police found Price's body with Knight comatose from taking a number of large pills. With Knight comatose from taking a large number of pills. May or may not have been jagged.
Right. They were large. No, they weren't large. A large number. Jagged little pills.
Yes.
Well, that explains the will. That explains why they think that was a will.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you want to do you want the details?
Yeah. Well, what did
Of
she
course
do?
we do.
She stabbed him for sure.
Of course we do. She stabbed him, chopped him up. What'd she do?
Right. So she had stabbed Price with a butcher's knife while he was sleeping. Again, if you're sleeping with someone with knives above the bed,
Don't
according
sleep
to the
anywhere near them. You sleep in the panic room where you are safe.
you sleep 100 kilometers away from them.
Exactly. You don't sleep with this person. This person's a loon. Okay. Anyway, so she's murdered him
A loon.
and tried to
I'm
kill
not
herself.
sure she's a loon.
A loon. Well, it's an old-fashioned term.
I know, darling. Oh, what a loon. What did that loon do to him?
Lunatic, the precursor to psychiatrically deranged.
Yes.
I need a little sip of Chardonnay for this next bit, and I feel like listeners should all have one together because it gets a little bit rough now.
Just so we brace for impact.
It gets rough now.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh, you haven't seen anything yet. This is the thing, right? My God. So, according to the blood evidence, he awoke and tried to turn the light on before attempting to escape while Knight chased him through the house. He managed to open the front door and get outside, but he either stumbled back inside or was dragged back into the hallway, where he finally died after bleeding out.
Oh, that's awful.
Later, Knight went into Aberdeen and withdrew $1,000 from Price's account at an ATM.
Hang on, what do you mean later? The police
after
found
she-
her
Same night.
comatose. Oh, so
Yeah.
after she killed him, between her taking the pills, she took money out.
So,
Right, okay.
guess. Let's play a little game of without actually seeing the body. How many times would you kill someone? So, Carla, remember we said that they only had sex once. So, murder.
Do you mean how many times would you stab someone?
Clearly, yes, I do.
I think you can only kill someone once.
Yes, I do feel like the right question is how many times would you stab someone? So, Carla, you said if you only have sex once in Katherine Knight's world, that is death.
Yeah.
3 times
Yes.
strangling, but maybe not to the point of death. But how many times would you stab someone because they only had sex with you once?
If you're Catherine,
Yeah.
I'm going to go...
37.
I'll just pluck a number out of the air 7 times. Because she was a significant
No.
knife, wasn't it? It wasn't a little...
I reckon
it was a big butcher's knife.
Swanny, you say 7?
I'll go with 7.
Schmidty?
I say more like 37 times.
Schmidty, it
I
was
feel like this was-
37 times, and I feel
Oh!
you have way too many parallels with this story.
No, I was just thinking it'll be frenzied because she's nuts.
Was she... Do we
just
know
an
if she did
educated
the
guess.
37 stabbings before she went to the bank, or did she do some more handiwork upon her return to the house?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad
Oh,
you...
really?
Am I ever glad you asked?
God.
So she stabbed him in the front and back, and many wounds were extending into his vital organs. So we have this whole thing, right? That he was found dead. She was comatose. Should I tell you the headline now and then explain why the headline, or do you want the headline a little bit later? Okay, I'll do it later. So several hours after Price had died, Knight skinned him and hung the skin from a meat hook on the architrave of a door to the lounge room.
So her work at the abattoir is where she learned how to skin someone, I presume.
It's her dream job.
True. Oh, God. But wouldn't it be quite complicated to skin a human versus skinning an animal? I imagine they've got a thicker...
I don't
Oh,
have
I
an
don't
answer
know.
to
I
that.
just feel
Is
sick.
there something else I can help with?
Oh, did you hear that?
Yes.
Siri wants to
My
know.
watch just said, I don't... Oh, my God, did you hear that?
I
didn't
don't
know
have
what
an
it
answer
was.
for that either.
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness, I wouldn't even know how to do that if I tried. There you go. Sorry about
Well,
that.
no one has an answer for that. You're
No
quite
one
right,
has, not
Mr.
even
Watch.
Siri has an answer for that.
But that's
I don't
not
have a
answering
reaction
your
for it.
question.
Apart from feeling nauseous and imagining the person who found the skin hanging from an architrave on a meat hook, I just
screwed up the life.
I cannot. Like, it's a horrible horror story, you know. Like, it's a film that you like to think this is made up by some sick person who made
Yes.
this up.
So
but
I'm going to tell you.
it's a
So the
fiction.
headline was the one
my
that drew me
God.
in at the start. I'm going to tell you now was Katherine Knight, Australia's female Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, okay.
But
But is that because
I
she
think
ate
I
him
think
or
I
because
saw
she skinned him,
Catherine.
or both?
Sorry, I think I saw Carla. Sorry, K name. I think I saw Carla just gesticulating, "Get me another drink. Get me another drink."
yes, wipe me out. Wipe me out.
I need that grunter's wipeout right now. Sorry.
Get me some
Okay.
pineapple juice. Yep.
Okay.
I'm out of milk. Get me some pineapple juice. Oh God. So
It's like a total monster.
Like
Like, it's not even that she just wants someone to die. She's, oh, God.
Wait for it.
There's
This is-
more. There's more. So, she then decapitated Price and cooked parts of his body, serving up the meat with baked potato, pumpkin, beetroot, zucchini, cabbage, yellow squash, and gravy in 2 settings at the dinner table, along with notes beside each plate, each having the name of one of Price's children on it.
So she's trying. So she was serving him with stuff. Can I just check though? Were the beetroots? Was it just a stew, or was the beetroot? What was it? Take me through
No,
the
this is a
ingredient list
meal.
I'm impressed by the vegetables she had in the house to work
again. Yeah,
with.
just talk me. Well, maybe that's why she spent $1,000. Or took $1,000 out so she could buy beetroots. What was it? Beetroot? I'm stuck on the beetroot. 'Cause
Squash,
the beetroot does not have a
pumpkin,
place in a
potato.
stew.
I love that this is the bit that interests you. What vegetables do you serve up with your
I don't
dead
understand
lover?
it.
What's seasonal?
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it could've
I
just
know
been-
that people.
As
Some
Stuart
people
said, it could have
eat
just
humans.
been seasonal vegetables.
Well, some people eat human, right? Not me, and not you, and not anyone who's
They're
not
called
a
Maybe
cannibal.
some
cannibals.
people eat
They're called
human. Who?
cannibals.
Cannibals eat people, right?
I
And it's,
eat
you know, often described
cannibal. It's
long pig.
incredible. Your breath,
apparently
yeah.
human tastes like pork, right? Allegedly tastes like pork. So with this pork meal, faux pork, let's call it faux pork meal. What
Bacon.
were my vegetables? Bacon. What were my vegetables? No, it was bacon. What are my vegetables?
Bacon.
I can't believe
Do it
it's
again.
not
Just
human.
run it again. Oh, what were the vegetables, please? I'm
So
fine
again-
with zucchini and squash.
Again, the vegetables. Should you ever want to do this, and I will now have to message Tony and say,
No,
"Get
no,
out of the
no, no.
house."
Schmidty's meal
Realize.
planning.
So baked potato. So it's not a soup;
that's
it's a
fine.
roast. It's a roast meal. Baked potato, pumpkin,
Oh, right.
beetroot, zucchini, cabbage, yellow squash, and gravy. So
She's
now you've
good with
described-
the veggies.
That's fine. You've described it as a roast. I can deal with that. I was thinking a stew, and I couldn't see how beetroot fit in a stew.
we'll
But
come
thank
to
you
the
for
stew later.
clarifying.
We'll come to the stew later.
But aren't you impressed by
what?
how
There's
many
a stew.
vegetables she had?
Yeah, I'm like
Maybe it's because I'm a mum and I'm so used to going, oh, look, have that with rice and broccoli and whatever else. I don't know that I could have put that much effort into the accompanying vegetables. She's gone all out there. That's impressive in itself. You served that up to
probably-
me without the human, I would have been impressed and gone,
She's-
oh, what a lovely suite of vegetables you've got here, Catherine.
It was. I think maybe a statement. Perhaps it was a statement meal.
So
she served it up, putting the children's names. Like she's feeding him to his children.
His children.
This is
His
beyond.
children.
Yeah, she's feeding
Yes.
him. This is beyond
Wait
Yeah.
for it.
comprehension. Comprehension.
So another source said that the steaks were actually arse cheeks. So I don't know. I'm not a cannibal. I don't have any experience in this, but that's the cut that she decided to serve up to his children.
But
She wouldn't do that if it was mine.
You wouldn't have roasted it though. No, I'm sorry. That's a slow cooked meal.
Well, she could have pan fried.
I know you'd want all the fat in my bum cheeks to dissolve. You'd have to have it cooked over a long time.
I'm just assuming like beef cheek. Yeah, if you were taking mine, the amount of fat that had to be rendered off that would take a long time. Yeah.
Well, also, like you say that she's done a good job putting the meal together, and maybe she has.
We didn't really say that. We didn't really say that.
Well, no, there was a thing about all the veggies and it being a really nice meal.
I was
Just
impressed
surprised
by
at what
I
she
was
had on
impressed by the
hand.
vegetables.
Yeah. What she had on
Yeah.
hand.
I'm impressed that she had it on hand.
Yeah. So, she at Schmidty's point, she could have taken $1,000 out of the ATM and then gone shopping at the local.
I'm going down to the local Lamana and I'm going to get the best of everything, but I don't need to buy the meat. I've got the meat.
Excuse me, what would you serve up with my husband's ass cheeks?
I would like to know if the vegetables were purchased during the day, because then it would be premeditated and she knew she was going to serve this big meal up, or if she had done the shopping after she'd killed him.
I feel like
I'm
if
sorry,
she went
I feel
home,
like this whole thing's premeditated.
if she went and watched TV, had a shower,
she made place cards.
yes,
She made place cards.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
That's premeditated.
There's nothing spur of the moment in this. I don't feel.
I must say,
No.
if you get your dream job, it's a really good work-life balance if you can do what you do at work at home.
At home.
Just maybe not in this context. Anyway, so there was in fact a third meal, and this is why I was wondering about the quality of the meal. There was a third meal thrown on the back lawn for unknown reasons. However, it's speculated that Knight had attempted to eat it but could not. So everyone else is speculating about that. Trial by Wine 100% supports that and actually makes that fact. I feel like she's gone, I'm going to have a little snack on this. This beetroot is
So
disgusting.
she's not Hannibal Lecter. She's
This
not actually
beetroot-
cannibal.
The beetroot is not good. I can't eat this.
It's left a
Can't
bad
bring
taste in the
myself.
mouth.
That zucchini is just not okay. So it was a different meal, a different prepared meal that she threw outside, or someone
She
threw
did
out.
served up 3 plates. One of them ended up on the
three
back
serves
lawn.
of the same thing. Right. Okay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
All right. She didn't make 3 different cuisines. I've got the arse cheeks over here. I've got a rack of thigh going on over here.
No.
I've
No,
got
but to
some
your
bitch
point
tits-
earlier, Schmitty.
bitch tits supreme.
To your point earlier, Schmitty, Price's head was found in a pot with vegetables.
No, not to my point. I never
Really?
asked about where his head was.
Yeah, she's making a soup.
Oh, the stew. Do you call that
Yeah.
a stew or do you call it brawn? Because you know when you boil up a pig's head and it's
I
brawn.
call it a fucking
Is this like
crime. I don't know. I don't want to have names for this meal. It's wrong, right? Don't ask me what I call it. So Price's head was found in a pot with vegetables. The pot was still warm, estimated to be at 40 to 50 degrees Celsius, indicating that the cooking had taken place in the early morning. Sometime later, Knight arranged the body with the left arm draped over an empty 1.25 litre soft drink bottle with the legs crossed. This was claimed in court to be an act of defilement demonstrating Knight's contempt for Price. Knight had left a handwritten note on top of a photograph of Price, blood-stained and covered with small pieces of flesh. It read, "Time got you back, Jonathan, for rapping," and then editor's note, raping, my doubter, in editor's note, daughter, you to Beck, in brackets, Price's daughter, for Ross, for Little John, his son, now play with Little John's Dick John Price. Yeah, the accusations in the note were found to be groundless.
And also
So,
misspelled.
let's chat a little bit about the trial.
I feel like we've spent such a lot of time getting to this point that now that we're here, I mean, the police, everyone must be so traumatized by finding that. Oh my God.
And
This is like a movie. It doesn't even seem real.
we'll get to the movie bit. Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's go to the
Someone's
trial.
got there
So
before you, Carla.
So did she didn't die. So she's no.
no.
So-
She
She's
was
alive and well.
fine.
She's alive and well,
Comatose.
running around somewhere in Aberdeen because apparently the police don't
No one-
arrest
no one
people
reported
like
it.
this.
Yeah.
There must
Sorry,
be
Paul.
no police force in Aberdeen. Jesus. Anyway, so let's get to the trial. So Knight's initial offer to plead guilty to manslaughter was rejected because clearly you are worse
I
than
accidentally
manslaughter.
killed him 37 times.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
accidentally
And
stabbed
then-
him 37 times. And cut his
And
head
then
off and
killed
skinned him
him.
and tried to feed him to the children. Oh my God.
It was
Anyway,
manslaughter.
sorry.
Oh, that is vile.
She was arraigned on the 2nd of March 2001 on the charge of murdering Price, to which she entered a plea of not guilty. Like, fuck me. Her trial was initially fixed for the 23rd of July 2001, but it was adjourned due to her counsel's illness, and it was refixed for the 15th of October 2001. When the trial commenced, Justice Barry O'Keefe offered the 60 jury prospects the option of being excused due to the nature of the photographic evidence, which 5 accepted. The others were all clearly fucked up people like us who like crime too much.
Fascinated. They were like, we can see anything. That's okay. Keep bringing it. Just give me a spew bucket. I'll be fine.
Or just let me drink wine in the jury box and I'll be okay as well. So, anyway, when the jury... Sorry, start again. When the witness list was read out, the prospects... I'm struggling now. We're nearly there, though.
Come on, soldier on.
You can do it.
When the witness list was read out to the prospects, several more also dropped out after the jury was impanelled. I don't even know what impanelled means.
Brought in onto the panel of the jury.
Is that what it means?
Yes.
There you go. That's what impanelled means.
Lucky one of us. Lucky our ghostwriter knows what that means. Go on.
Stuart is the best for that stuff. Knight's attorneys then spoke to the judge, who adjourned to the following day. The next bit starts off with the next morning, but given I've had a few wines, I'd like it to be next morning. Knight changed her plea to guilty. Too much?
No, it's fine. Made me laugh. Go on. Next
Okay.
morning. Next morning.
Next morning, Knight changed her plea to guilty and the jury was dismissed. It was then made public that Justice O'Keefe had been advised of the plea change the day before. He had adjourned the
Johnny
trial.
O'Keefe. Anyway.
Yes, Justice Johnny O'Keefe. Sing
Johnny
shout.
O'Keefe, yep.
You do have to
Adjourn the
find the
trial,
humour in things that aren't horrific.
It's very disturbing. This is a very disturbing story. Anyway, keep going.
He had adjourned the trial and then ordered a psychiatric assessment overnight to determine if Knight understood the consequences of a guilty plea and was fit to make such a plea. Knight's legal team had planned to defend Knight by claiming amnesia and dissociation, a claim supported by most psychiatrists, although they did not consider her sane. The psychiatrist conducted the...
disorder. Dissociative disorder. So she has like a mental
I don't
fugue
mean
and
that
she
at
can't
all.
remember anything.
I mean,
That's what she's saying. That's
by
what they're
claiming
that's what they're
amnesia
going
and
for.
dissociation, you mean that. Well, I'm not an expert in that, but I can
I've watched a
read
lot of
crime and
television.
drink wine.
Yeah. All right. So they claim that.
Well said.
Moving on.
So, all of that aside, 2 psychiatrists concluded that Knight suffered from borderline personality disorder. Like, fuck. Borderline?
Well, it's a borderline personality anyway.
Borderline Hannibal
But
Lecter
she's
disorder?
definitely 100% magic pussy disorder is what she's got.
Correct.
Not so magic. Fraudulently magic pussy disorder.
Oh, the pussy's great. The rest of her, disaster.
Her
Anyway.
pussy's a fucking dragon from Game of Thrones. Anyway, no reason has ever been given for the guilty plea, and despite giving it, Knight still refused to accept responsibility for her actions. At the sentencing hearing, Knight's lawyers requested that she be excused to avoid hearing some of the facts. Anyway, the application was refused. So clearly this didn't take place in Aberdeen, where they just don't give a fuck what you do to your partner.
Stabbing's fine.
Yeah. So I'm not sure who
Decapitation's
Timothy
fine.
Lyons is, but anyway, when he took the stand and described the skinning and decapitation, Knight became hysterical and had to be sedated. Goodness, this story has got us onto our 3rd bottle. This is how traumatized I am by this. Anyway, for all of you at home listening to this story whilst you're driving yourselves to work, you're all fucked. Like, seriously, stop listening. It's terrible. So, on the 8th of November, Justice O'Keefe pointed out that the nature of the crime and Knight's lack of remorse required a severe penalty. He sentenced her to life imprisonment, refused to fix a non-parole period, and ordered that her papers be marked never to be released. The first time this had been imposed on a woman in Australian history. Sounds appropriate. In June 2006, Knight appealed the life sentence, claiming that a penalty of life in prison without possibility of parole was too severe for the killing. Justices Peter McClellan, Michael Adams and Megan Latham dismissed the appeal in New South Wales Court of Criminal Appeal in September, with Justice McClellan writing in his judgment, "This was an appalling crime, almost beyond contemplation in a civilised society." And that, my friends, is where the story ends, apart from your ramblings.
Where do you start?
Ramble away.
So, is my understanding that Katherine Knight is still alive? Is she still in prison?
She is still alive.
She's alive.
Yes.
She is in prison. Is she still alive?
And in fact, in 2016, you asked this question earlier, there was talk of a movie.
Oh, yes, I did ask that, yes.
Yes. So there were rights to a movie that were purchased, and I haven't seen it yet. I haven't even heard of it being released yet, but I'm not even sure if I can wait for it to be released yet. It's a little bit of Basic Instinct, Fatal Attraction, and
Ate my husband's ass.
well, maybe not Eat My Husband's Ass, but what's that other one that we love? Silence of the Lambs. Incidentally, for those who were listening last time, Jackie does not shut up. So, yes, lambs can be quite noisy.
Jackie Lambie.
Jackie Lambie, exactly.
I'm a bit speechless now that we've got to the end. It's sort of, well, it's quite exhausting, frankly. She's done an awful lot of terrible stuff to the point where my brain doesn't quite know how to process that. I mean,
I couldn't get my head around...
Domestic abuse and stabbing people and losing your cool and being a fucking crazy bitch who stabs people and still manages to sort of get them back, whatever else. But then the last part, the skinning him, the serving up the meal, all of that, the decapitating. That is beyond next level. Do you know what I mean? You could imagine that she was heading down a terrible trajectory where she was going to murder one of her partners. That, I think, from the outset, felt like where we were headed, not to Cannibal Land.
Beheaded. Yes.
That is the worst
to me,
name.
at what point?
That is, excuse me, sorry, Paul, but that is the worst name of a fantasy ride family park I've ever heard. Cannibal Land. You got SeaWorld, you've got, Hollywood on the Gold Coast. Cannibal Land has got to be the worst I've ever heard. Just saying.
Great pickup. I feel like entry should be free to Cannibal Land.
Oh my God!
You may not.
They should pay you to go to Cannibal Land.
Exactly. Do not pay to come to.
With all due respect, which I know when you say that you don't mean to respect people at all, but it feels like this story belongs in a basement or a dungeon in Germany or in, I don't know, Belgium, where you hear about stories where men took other willing participants and, skinned them. I just don't think, the Hunter region in New South Wales is where I was expecting there would be a woman who was going to do this. I'm really thrown.
But Carla,
Yeah.
this is. I was trying to say earlier is this is not really a cannibalism story. That's what the press have made out of it, made it out to be. She couldn't eat the food, and I don't believe the children ate the food either.
Yes, you're quite right.
This was a desecration story. In the story that you're talking about with the Germans, that was I know of one where there's a contract.
Right.
That was a contract where one person wanted to be eaten and another person wanted to eat a person. So it's a bit different. Anyway.
You are right. I just don't think I was expecting it to take this turn at the end. I thought she would mutilate somebody, but I didn't think that she would then go to...
It's excessively violent. It's excessively violent.
Yes,
it's very disrespectful of a body.
That's why I couldn't give you the headline
especially a person you've had children with. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I still...
But I think
but I mean...
the story would be more familiar if someone's name was Clarice and there was a Dr. Chilton. I feel like then I could relate to it more because I'd seen that in the early 90s.
And someone had really good olfactory senses.
And there was some Chianti and fava beans.
Anyway,
I should have
not
drunk a Chianti
story.
tonight for that very reason.
You should have done.
Opportunity
But it's not
In terms of her skill set that she acquired at the abattoir, I would assume that
Her dream
boning
job.
would be quite a departure from skinning. I would have thought they were two very separate skill sets because I don't
no, you would
understand
have to skin.
when you're skinning somebody or
No,
something,
so-
you're trying to keep it
Skin
intact,
first,
aren't you?
Yeah. No, at an abattoir you skin first
Oh.
because the skins they sell the skins separately because they have a value themselves,
Yes.
and then you
For
go
the
to
hide.
boning.
Yeah.
And that's not...
And if you've got a magic pussy, maybe boning is really easy.
No, because that means you need a magic penis for
well,
boning.
no, she's got the magic pussy. She can just get boned or bone or I don't know how it
No,
works.
boning is a male thing.
Bit of boning and
She's got a
shunting.
magic
And,
pussy.
yeah.
Boning. Yeah. And Cardinals.
so.
Good chat.
Then elaborate.
So
Good
anyway,
chat, but what
should
about
we
sentencing?
explore,
Are you going to sentence her? What's her crime? What are we going to do?
exactly
Going back to
'cause this is
what
trial by
we are here
wine.
for.
And which your challenge is to nominate the crime you want to call out because there's been a few of them, and then explore the sentence.
I've had some time to think about this while you've been chatting.
I'm glad.
And I think that our friend Catherine should have small but very, coming from sensitive areas of her body, skin flaying on a regular basis. That's right, Carla. It will hurt.
Oh,
That's
that just
right,
sent a
Carla.
chill down my spine.
That's the point. Well, she skinned someone. I think she should be slowly flayed, which means that she will not be fully
Flayed.
skinned like him, because it's a desecration of her corporeal person, because she had no respect for lots of people. I know it's harsh, but I think it's fair. She doesn't have to eat her own skin. I'm not asking her to do that. I'm just saying a little bit of flaying here and there. A little fillet.
She couldn't even eat her husband's skin. She's not going to eat her own.
Well, maybe that's the next level. Mind you, she could probably, anyway.
Removing the fillet.
Ass cheeks. Stuart, would you like to weigh in on her ass cheeks should be removed, cooked up in a slow cooker for 8 hours?
He would.
served up
I'm
to
asking
herself and
Paul
everything.
to ask you some questions. When you say fillet, I'm really
Not
concerned
fillet,
that
flay.
perhaps
Flay.
you need to. If you want to fillet, you just want to make some.
You're hearing a different word, is what she's saying.
Oh,
No,
right.
flay, not fillet, flay. So when you flay skin, you're basically just taking the epidermis off, and you are still leaving
Right, yo.
flesh, but you're removing multiple layers of epidermis.
It's
Right.
not a filet-o husband. It's a
That's right.
filet-o skin.
Filet-o ass cheek, ass cheek. Yeah, it's a little bit of, and it doesn't have to be. Carla, you look very upset. It doesn't have to be a lot. It'll still sting. It'll sting, right?
I'm not upset.
So you
I
can just
honestly
take a
can't-
little bit, a little tiny little sliver, maybe once a week, once a week, because it stings.
Carla,
It's open for
I
infection.
100% understand what you're about to say, and I support you with that. But it is a disturbing story.
Thanks for the
nonetheless.
clarification, Schmidty.
Oh gosh, I don't know what to say. Honestly, I'm just so disturbed by the fact that and all the failings along the way to protect the people who were assaulted and attempted murder all the way along with her. She slashing someone's face. Why wasn't the woman in prison a long time ago?
Yeah, it
taking a child
should never have got that far.
as a hostage. It's so screwed up. I just don't know. My head is literally full of terror, and I'm
never
not very
got
good
that
with
far.
that, so I don't
That's
know what
right.
to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So I'm with you, and I would like to explore the crimes. Not that Catherine committed at the end, because they're just horrific, and I don't even want to talk about them anymore. But I think that
I don't want to touch on
there's
that. No.
there's crimes on the Aberdeen police station who maybe missed some of the obvious signs of I'm going to become a Hannibal Lecter. Let's explore some of those a little bit, because I'm done with the. I don't want to eat that stuff.
Yeah. No.
one
I
wants to
think
eat
that all of that initial stuff all the initial things that she did were so. Especially the one where she had the slashed woman's face in the car.
Really,
And then she
that's
was
the
going
one
to
that
the-
got you, not the put her own child on a train tracks.
Oh, I forgot about that, to be fair. I actually forgot about
Schmitty,
that.
That's okay.
So that was what started.
Schmitty, you
Oh,
would-
that was the first one.
That's
Okay.
the one that I was pretty upset by.
Melissa out on the tracks. And, the
Carla.
axe in
And if it
town,
weren't
which
for
could have
old
been done at
Ted-
that point.
If it weren't for old Ted, that little kid would have been cut in half.
Don't let her knock you off your train of thought. She was fucking struggling with the rake earlier, so
I blame old Ted.
God
You know
forbid.
what? If old Ted hadn't have found Melissa Ann, she might have had to go to prison straight up. That might have been the only thing that would have got the proper attention to give her to be sentenced to a crime, because although she was allowed to walk around town with an axe, she was allowed to take somebody hostage and slash their face, take another child hostage. I mean, that's all the initial stuff, and that she was still able to get away with it. So maybe old Ted is our problem.
I feel like there's so much wrong. Like first husband, second husband, partner, whatever. Like all along the way, you would all kind of go, this woman's fucked. Like, stay away from her. She's not okay. She's a little bit messed up. But this is kind of why I love this story, because we hear about domestic violence from the male to the female point of view all the time, and we've almost become desensitized to it. But when you flip it, then you go, well, fuck, we wouldn't tolerate this. So why are we challenged so much about this, but not so much about all the other ones? And so let's enjoy and explore that conversation, because, you know, there's so much real here, and it's slipped under the radar, as these cases do often. But we're back on track now, I think.
I have been on here so long that we're now we're going out for dinner soon.
Yeah.
So
So you
need
two
to
got to
probably-
determine some form of sentencing, and then you may leave.
I can't. Who am I going to sentence? I can't do it, Schmidty. This is my weakness. I struggle with this bit.
I want Catherine to get a role in the show I'm a Cannibal, Get Me Out of Here, and just see whether she makes it to the end or not.
All right, Carla.
I haven't got anything.
Maybe
What
not.
am I gonna
Maybe
do,
not
Schmidty?
Catherine. Maybe not Catherine. Maybe some kind of. I don't know. Counselling for people.
For the early on, I think, yes. maybe-
Retrospectively, to say, you know, you
I just think the warning signs were there all the way through, and to have got to
Oh,
the
for
conclusion
God's
that we
sake,
came
yes.
to, I mean,
maybe even people
No one can do that.
who run abattoirs shouldn't be giving people knives. And when your star
Well,
player says, "I've put them
correct.
above my bed," it's a warning sign. Yeah.
don't you think that if the
The sign.
I presume it'd be the local police force and or the mental health practitioners had have been more on top of what she was doing to the earlier partners,
Yeah. Look, I think
there
there
should
is.
have been. It just didn't seem to be taken seriously enough.
Look, I know, but in fairness to those people, there were not computer systems at the time. You know, there weren't. There
Yeah.
wasn't. You know, national databases about this behaviour. There were. I still think that there would have been people who weren't reporting stuff because of the stigma associated. Whether Paul agrees with me or not.
I think you're totally right, and I don't think people even really saw. They would be thinking, why?
How could you
you're
be
man
bullied by a
against
woman?
yeah.
How could you
Yeah,
allow
yeah.
a woman to treat you like that? Just smack her into the corner. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's a difficult one to sentence. I don't actually think that Catherine has really paid enough for her crime.
No.
And that I'm flaying her every day, so
I
that's
think-
okay. I'll sort that out later.
I think she. I'm happy with the never to be released bit, but I do want her to be a feature on the reality TV show I'm a Cannibal, Get Me Out of Here. I feel like if we
and
had
in that
a, you know,
show, what are they fed? Are they fed like tofu? Are they fed tofu? And that's why they need to get out of there.
Totally
no,
vegan.
no.
Totally
There's,
vegan.
no, there's 10 cannibals. In my head, there's 10 cannibals on an island, and they all want to get out of there because otherwise they'll
Oh,
get
they're
eaten.
being fed to cannibals.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Well, no,
that's
there's
fine.
10
I'm fine with
cannibals.
that.
They're not being
Okay,
fed.
That's very good.
It's survival of the fittest. So
No, but at any point, exactly, at any point, a cannibal who might be stronger or better than you could kill you and eat you. Yep. Got it. Yeah? Is that what you're thinking?
100%.
Bring it on.
And
It's
and
like
the
a
winner
Hunger
goes back
Games,
to jail
only the
because they're
hunger
a
is
fucking
for
cannibal.
long pig.
The not so Hunger Games.
Well, I'm not very hungry having discussed this, but those people who like long pig are hungry for your long pig, and it's all good.
What is this long pig reference? Is that what you
It's
call
what
like a human?
cannibals call humans, because apparently we taste like pigs.
I
Only
heard
we're
you
long,
mention it earlier
long
once
pig,
before,
because
and
we're
I
tall.
thought, did you just say that long pig?
I
Yeah,
didn't
thought
make
you
it
said
up.
that, and
I didn't
thought,
make it up. You can Google that after this. Yeah.
No, I believe you. But I did hear you say it, and I thought, does that mean? And then I was going to ask, but you were sort of
Yeah.
in the middle of something, and then I just heard it again then. Long pig.
I think
Oh,
I'm a
Swanny.
cannibal. Get me out of here.
You,
It's a
you
great
could you
plan
could
for
never be
this.
cannibal if you're Jewish
what?
because you don't eat pig, do you?
Oh,
Is
we're
that
the
true?
world's worst. We eat everything. So, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
because
yes,
I
our
heard
family is,
Tim.
yeah, quite
I
partial
heard
to
from a
quite partial to ham and bacon. Oh, you're right. You're correct. We're just
I
not doing the right
love
thing.
ham.
We don't keep kosher.
I had a I heard from a reputable
was-
source named Tim Minchin that his song for peace in the Middle East was, "And if you don't eat pig, and we don't eat pig, let's not eat pig together," which I think is perfect.
Oh, that's lovely.
Al-
Yes, I think
Also,
that,
not a good song for.
I think
Also, not a good song
breakfast is
for
long
peace
pig.
in a cannibal society. If you don't eat human, and we don't eat human,
Long pig.
let's not eat human
Long pig.
together.
Oh.
Right. So, to
Oh.
finalise our sentencing, I think we've agreed that Paul's nailed it with the I'm a cannibal, get me out of here concept.
Absolutely.
And he who is not eaten is the victor and just goes back to jail and gets flayed, by the way, every day. And
Yes.
on that note, great case, Paul.
Well done, Paul.
Brilliant job. And
Glad you enjoyed it.
we did enjoy it a great deal. And
A bit queasy.
a bit queasy, yes. A little bit
For those of you who
vomitous
are looking
in
for a
few
quickie,
parts.
I'm sorry it took so long.
Okay, so guys, fantastic show. Carla's got to go. Thanks very much, Paul. Thanks, Carla, Swanny. We'll
Great
hope.
research. Well done, Paul.
Yep. Thanks to everyone who's
You
still
chicks
listening to us
rock.
at this point in time, and we'll see you again next week. All right. Bye all.
Miss
Bye.
you already.
Ciao.
Bye.
Miss you already. Bye now.
Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine, or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from pixabay.com.